My name is Jocelyn Harris and I have dysautonomia. Around 9 years old, I had my first episode, which was in school. No one really knew what was going on with me. It took 5 years for a diagnosis. Doctors weren't very familiar with dysautonomia POTS yet. I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Basically, dysautonomia is where your autonomic system doesn't work as it's supposed to and your body is fighting itself. Growing up with all these episodes, I just let them go. I didn't really know what was going on with my body, so I kind of ignored it. Basically, what an episode consists of is being unconscious while having convulsions and waking up with confusion. Sometimes I have to be hospitalized to come out of an episode. It is known as feigning, but it's way more than just feigning. Your body is just fighting against itself. Your blood pressure changes, your heart rate gets too high, and some days it's hard to even get out of bed. I grew up without having a normal childhood. I would have episodes a couple times a week, even a couple times a day. I never knew what was actually going on with me until I had my diagnosis, so I kind of just ignored it and was in denial about what was happening to me. Basically my childhood was living in a hospital bed. I lived in Children's Hospital in Philadelphia for weeks at a time. Doctors trying to figure out what was going on. That process was 5 years. When they finally figured out what was going on, they sent me to the Mayo Clinic, and there is a rehab there for, I'm getting ready, tell me about that, okay? They sent me to the Mayo Clinic to help rebuild my body back up and learn ways to cope with what was going on. They taught me ways how to prevent some symptoms and make me realize what was happening was real. Unfortunately, no medications actually cured or really helped with my episodes, but I found ways to naturally help myself. I did a change in the diet. I started exercising more. Exercise actually can cause an episode, but the more you exercise, the more your body builds back up to help. I would play sports. An episode would happen and I would want to be the girl to get back on the field to go play. It would happen in school. I wanted to stay in school after I woke back up, but the nurses would want me to go home. Basically, an episode wears out my body like I haven't had sleep in weeks. After it happens, my body is affected by it for a couple days to a month. I call them flare-ups, where when I don't feel good, it's where I have a bunch of episodes in a short period of time. The worst season where my episodes would flare up the most would be summer. I did travel camp where I met Alexa. We would be doing active things daily, which was very stressful on my body. I would have an episode at least a couple times a day, but that never stopped me from having fun with my friends. It definitely affected my body in a negative way because I wanted to just live my life, but then I had to realize that I had to focus on my health before anything else. The lowest point with this chronic illness would have had been a little over 3 years ago. I was going into freshman year of high school. It was a normal day. I was with my friends, hanging out. I've been good for a couple weeks, and it hit me unexpectedly. I had a very severe episode. I was not coming out of it. I had to get transferred into CHOP immediately. This was before they knew exactly what I had, and it was to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't really eat. Basically, they realized that my body was just slowly shutting down. At that point in my life, I realized that this was severe and that I couldn't keep ignoring what was happening around me. After that hospital trip happened, I couldn't go back to school. My life was basically going downhill. After that bumpy road, I realized that I had to make changes, not only small changes, but life changes. I started to listen to doctors and what their advice would be to help me recover from that path that I was going down. A popular test that they use to diagnose this would be called the tilt table test. It's basically where they strap you to a table and then they spin you around to see what your heart is doing. And basically, if you have thoughts, you're gonna pass out while on it. They monitor what your heart is doing, your blood pressure, and your head. And most likely every patient that has dysautonomia POTS will have an episode during the test. At least for the past few years, every birthday was spent in a hospital bed. When I would blow out my candles, every wish would be to not be in that bed. Basically, the long-term effect led to depression. There was days where I didn't even want to get out of bed, whether I could or I couldn't. I was sleeping 15 plus hours. I didn't really know what to do with my life at that point. I felt so alone, and I felt like there was never gonna be a cure for anything. Basically for the past 3 years, I had to do online school. I was not healthy enough to attend school. It made me feel very emotional that I felt like I lost my childhood. I would see friends going out, doing all these fun things, and I just felt... Now, I haven't had any problems within the last 6 to 7 months. I've been perfectly fine. I'm back in school. I'm doing 2 sports daily. I'm hanging out with friends daily, and I'm doing everything that a normal teenager should be. Even though I am doing well right now, I still limit myself, knowing that my body can have a flare-up. I'm not ignoring the fact that I have this chronic illness, but I'm also not going to let it stop me. I follow a bunch of accounts about my illness on Facebook and Instagram to help me find more ways to help with symptoms. There's actually a thing called Spoonie, which is basically, they explain it as a person with POTS has a certain amount of spoons. So basically, taking a shower would be 3 spoons, eating would be 2, and they're basically saying that once your spoons run out, you run out of energy, and that's when your body starts to shut down again. A few months ago, I attended a 5K awareness run for POTS. There I realized that I wasn't the only one who was going through this. There was hundreds of people just like me. The most crazy thing that I could say about this chronic illness is that you look fine on the outside, but on the inside, you're like broken.